how was the Lieutenantura characterized. Lieutenantura was a real problem in the 60s. Remember, you have to get back to the 60s. There was a distracting element, the miniskirt. Clearly, that would have made a black woman on the bridge of the Starship as acceptable, but it wasn't enough. My theory is that the communicator device she always keeps in her ear work as the social psychologists call them a social stigma. That is an element that draws our attention and distract us from looking at different features of the person bearing a prosthesis or being on a wheelchair. This social stigma, how can I prove that? First, no other American-like people had other issues like that. And as a matter of fact, in the following series, that is to say the next generation, look at who has another social stigma, another prosthesis, to make the presence of a black actor in such a high level of the hierarchy of the Federation. Again, we need a prosthesis that would draw our attention on other elements except the blackness. And that is also why probably we had to darken Lieutenant Hura in the image that we saw, because in order to have the picture acceptable to the American public, black actors hadn't to show the way they were, especially if they were at very high level of in important roles within the fiction. Only with Captain Benjamin Sisko, some problems are overcome, because he has no clear prosthesis, he has no clear social stigma. But for those of you who know Deep Space Nine, the series that is linked where Captain Sisko appears, will know that the producers were a little bit worried about the possibility to have him for 7 seasons on screen. So they started in a very strange way. He got the promotion to captain only by the end of the first season. Probably they thought, okay, if the American public will not accept him, we can replace him somehow. Let me show you, this was an extremely interesting thing, but I want to conclude with literacy of tennis. Now, those of you who are tennis players, please do not answer right away. And since, unfortunately, or fortunately, you are not only 5 or 6, it cannot be a completely interactive thing. I will do the work for you, but try to answer my question in your mind and tell me if there is something completely different from what I will say. What do you see in this video clip? Probably most of you have thought something like a tennis match, a tennis court, 2 tennis players, or a tennis rally. Probably. I do not know. If somebody is completely away from this description, please tell me. But not the tennis player. I guess that most of you have said that, have thought that. Now, what do you see in this? Now, probably what happened is that after looking at the first video clip, now you have probably thought, okay, I cannot say again a tennis match court, 2 tennis players, a tennis rally. Most of you have probably said something on the line, a tennis player hits the ball, a tennis shot. I guess that is what you have probably thought. Now, let's look again at clip 2, because I want you to make a quick connection with clip 3. This is what we have already seen. Now, what do you see here? Do you want to see that again? I will.
Backhand.
So what happened, and somebody has already suggested the correct term. Most of you, though, might have said, oh, okay, hold on. Here, the tennis player is hitting the ball this way. In the previous clip, the tennis player was hitting the ball this way. So what happens is that while contrasting one event with the other, we create a more specific meaning, regardless of the fact that if we use backhand, as someone said, and the opposite forehand. But we would not be pushed to keep saying, oh, it's a tennis shot, because I have showed you first one particular shot and then a different kind of shot. And as someone of you has said, the first one was a backhand because it was hit this way. The other one was a forehand because it was hit from the other side of the body. Now, let's look again at clip 2, because now we are more refined. I do not, and it might be that also the tennis players this was the backhand we saw first. Look at this. So, as a matter of fact, here we have again the tennis player hitting the ball from this side, and no more from this side. What has happened? We cannot tell exactly, because if you are not a tennis player, if you were not trained, if you do not look at this, say 200 times repeatedly, you will probably not be able to signify, to make a semiosis, a reading of these two gesture in this way. In the first example, the gesture was like this. So the racket moved from bottom up. In the other case, the gesture was like this. This difference, clearly, after, if you are lucky, if you are a good observant, a very good observant, might be clear to you after 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but you must be very good observant. If you are lucky and you were born to a family where tennis was watched consistently, you would have probably understood the difference. If you are not lucky in any of the two sense, you must get some training, or you must spend your life 1 year, 2 years to understand that there is a difference in hitting the ball this way or hitting the ball this way. It is a significant difference. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you do not know the difference, you cannot have fun on a tennis court just hitting the ball the best way you can. It isn't so. You can still hit the ball. You do not need to know that there is a backhand, a forehand, a topspin, a backspin.